this is Serenity. Today I would like to share my experience how I got from Canada, Toronto to Korea, Busan. And before we begin, I would like to do a little challenge that in Korea we do this and we take a photo of it and we tag frontline workers, thank you, and healthcare professionals, thank you. This is a little challenge that's going around in Korea, and thank you so much everyone who's participating in Korea, who's trying to make all the situation better and who's trying to cure all the COVID-19 patients. Thank you. And before we begin, I would really like to emphasize that this is my personal experience. Maybe others might have different experiences, and depending on the country that you're coming from, Korea might act on you differently. So this is only my own story, how I got from Canada to Korea. So, let's move on. I left Canada at 25th this Saturday, and I got to Korea on 26th this Sunday. From Canada to Korea, there wasn't any direct flight at the time I left Canada, so I had to take a transferring flight that transferred from Detroit. From Pearson Airport, that is in Toronto, I was able to notice some of the big differences due to COVID-19. First of all, everyone were wearing a mask. That's surgical mask, and some of them were wearing gloves. I didn't really see all those people with gigantic disposable gown around. Maybe it's not a thing in Canada, but they were just wearing normal clothes, just with gloves and masks. Second of all, when I got to take in my plane tickets, the ground attendant did not claim my package. They led me to drop off my own baggages on a separate self-baggage drop-off section. And they just tagged my baggage by themselves so that we don't cross-contaminate each other and we still kept the social distancing between us. Even from the Pearson Airport, they make everyone who go to Korea install 2 apps. We got to Detroit. At the Detroit airport, there wasn't any store open except for McDonald's, Subway, and some of the convenience store. You might not have a big problem getting water or even a little snack, but I wouldn't really rely on that airport to get a huge meal or have a relaxing spa or anything like that. Me and my friend had to wait in the Detroit airport for 6 hours, and right before on the airplane they made us to get our temperature checked, and it was through the non-contact forehead thermometer, and I got 36.5 at the time, so I wasn't really worried. If you have higher than 37.5 through the forehead non-contact thermometer, then I think you are not able to get on the plane to Korea. So we did that, and we got on the plane to Korea Incheon through Delta Airline. I really highly recommend Delta Airline. They're amazing, they have a great staff there, and I had such a great experience. Moving on. And in the airplane towards Incheon, the flight attendants give out these 2 forms. We have to fill it out, and flight attendants reminded us that we have to fill out every single little symptoms that we had for 21 days, according to the paper, just to make sure that we let the government worker or the doctor or healthcare professional that's working in the airport know that what kind of symptoms we regularly have or what kind of symptoms that we grew in the few days period. So I checked the headache section because I've been having constant migraines since I was in grade 8, I would say. And it's been on and off. I usually have it once in 2 or 3 days, and I usually have it for a great period of time, I would say. I take Advil to get rid of the migraine, so I even wrote Advil on the other section. We got off the plane at Incheon Airport. At the Incheon Airport, you have to get lined up for quarantine line so that you can get checked out at the quarantine stage. They have this temperature checking camera right in front of those stage, and they also check your temperature separate from the camera through your forehead, the non-contact thermometer. When I did the non-contact thermometer, I got 36.5. So I wasn't really worried about my temperature at that point, but the staff there asked me about my headache, and I told her it is a migraine and I usually have it. It doesn't really concern me, but she told me that she still want to get me checked out. So she guided me to this separate tent, which is right next to this quarantine stage. When you get to this tent, there are 3 stages that you have to go through. First, there is a volunteer, and she or he is gonna ask you what kind of symptom it is and how long have you had this. She's gonna check your address, that you're gonna do the 14 days mandatory quarantine, and then that she is gonna ask you what kind of pills you take for the symptom, and she's gonna check your temperature again, tympanically, this time through the ear. When I did the temperature checking again, it was 37.2. It was literally less than a minute period between the non-contact thermometer and the tympanic thermometer, but I think I was just like a little hot and nervous at the time with all the mask and airplane. I was just stressed, so I did get 37.2. For COVID-19, they usually tell you not to worry until you get to 37.5, but I think Korean government, and especially in the airport, they decided to make everyone who's above 37 degrees Celsius count as a symptomatic entrant to Korea, and they make everyone who's above 37.0 Celsius get checked out for COVID-19, which is me. So at the second stage, it is an actual doctor, and you talk to the doctor and they consult you. That for my doctor, he asked me what kind of headache it is, how long it lasts, what kind of pill I take, how much it hurts, how long have I had it, and all the other things, everything that is related to my own health. And he told me that he would like to check me for COVID-19 test. I said yes, of course. And stage 3. When you get to stage 3, they're gonna ask you to get into this small room. There is this small room, and it was 10 people, I would say, when I got in. And you get into this room, and it is literally just there for you to wait until you get a COVID-19 test and wait for you to get out of the airport. So I waited there for about an hour, and they called my name. I followed them downstairs to the container box, I would say. It was, of course, a negative pressure room, and we got in there. It is 3 separate rooms, so the entrants get into 1 room each. When you get into the negative pressure room, on the other side of the room, there is a doctor. Between the doctor and the entrant, there is a thick plastic wall, and it just has a teeny tiny hole about the size of the purse, just for entrants to be able to show our mouth and our nose for the COVID-19 test. I did that. We got up the stairs and we got back to the room that I was staying. I waited there about an hour and a half or 2, even more. And finally, it was time for us to get out of the room. I think we were just waiting for everyone who's asymptomatic entrant to get out of the airport and to get out of the quarantine stage, and just to make sure that the baggage claim does not have asymptomatic entrants there, so that symptomatic entrants and the asymptomatic entrants do not cross-contaminate each other. So we waited for about 2 hours, an hour and a half. We got out of the room, and there are a few military members who's gonna check you if you have these two apps. And make sure that you enter all the information. And then the next stage is they're gonna call the number that you wrote on the self-diagnosis app. When they call the number, they should be able to reach you or your parents or your family member. So I highly recommend you to write down your Korean number there, because they're gonna call you once in, I would say 2 or 3 days, to make sure that you don't have any symptoms, you're doing okay during the quarantine and everything. So yeah. And after that, we got into immigration line. We finished all the immigration line after. And for this group, there were, I would say, 25 people who were symptomatic in my airplane, and we all had to move in one gigantic group. So we had to wait everyone to finish each step, and then we were able to move to another step. So that it took long, like super long. And finally, we were able to do the baggage claim downstairs. We got to baggage claim, and there were literally no one there. So I think they just cleared everyone before we got to the baggage claim. And they separated our luggages already from others who left the airport already. So we just had to go there and pick it up, and went outside of the airport to get on the bus. So this bus takes us to the 1-day temporary isolation facility. This isolation facility is just to make sure that the symptomatic entrant who just got checked for COVID-19 get the results back, and if the result is negative, we get to go back home or the place that you're gonna be doing the quarantine. Or if the result is positive, the hospital pick you up and take you right to the hospital right away. We were assigned to Best Western Incheon Airport Hotel. We got there at about 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. I would say, and they gave us dinner, and right before they assigned us to our room and gave us our room key, they checked our temperature again, non-contact, and they checked our passport and all the certificate that we did get checked for COVID-19. After checking everything, they let us go to our own room, and they told us that we would not be able to get a result back until tomorrow morning, so just take a good night's sleep. See you guys tomorrow. I got back to the room at about 9:30, 9:20. We took a good night's sleep, and the day after, at 4:30 a.m., my friend who got tested COVID-19 with me texted me that she got negative. At the time, I was kind of confused because me and my friend got checked at the same time, maybe like a minute or two difference, and she got the result at the 4:30, and I still didn't get any result at all till 7:30 or 8. At about 7:30, front desk called me and asked me if I'm ready to take a bus back to the airport. I asked the front desk that I didn't get the result back, so am I allowed to get back to the airport? Front desk was confused, saying that they checked that I was negative and that's why they asked. I told them back that I didn't get the result back, I didn't get anything yet. Because in Korea, they usually text you or email you if they got your result back. So I told them that I didn't get anything, and they contacted me. They forwarded me with a manager of the people who had symptoms from my airplane. So the manager talked to me and told me that he's gonna text me again with the result. We did that back and forth about 6 times, and I still didn't get any text at all after him sending me 6 messages. So he told me that he might be able to send me an email about the result. So we tried that for about 2 times again. I didn't get anything at all. At about 9 a.m., he called me and he told me that they know that I got negative. It is just me who did not get a text, but I do have a result back. So maybe it's just taking longer, maybe it's just your signal. Let's just take you down to the bus and we'll figure this out while we get back to the airport. So while I wait for the bus, I finally got my result back for COVID-19, which was negative, of course. That's why I'm here.